Simon from simonwoods.com. I have 6 red wines in front of me. Common theme, hopefully they're all on that sort of quite big, earthy, juicy, rich, spicy style. But we shall see. Hey, on verra. Got 2 Portuguese wines to start with, and in their honour, I am wearing my Wines of Portugal t-shirt. Thank you very much, Judy. First one, Tons de Dorum Red. I had the white of this the other day, and it was all right. It was just slightly not quite sure whether it wanted to be full-bodied and not sure whether it wanted to be crisp, and managed to fall halfway between them. But the guy behind it, a guy called João Portugal Ramos, and I can't remember who else he works with on this, but anyway, they usually make pretty decent wines, albeit better known for their wines further south in Ribatejo and Alentejo, or is it just Ribatejo? I get my Tejos mixed up. Anyway, here we go. Oh, there's one thing that it really reminds me of here. I can't remember the first time I made a cake with my mum, but that smell of uncooked cake mix, that mixture of egg and flour and sponginess and sweetness, that's what it smells of here. Touch of vanilla in there as well. And yeah, I get vanilla's a character I get on quite a lot of Portuguese reds. Sometimes it's from barrels, sometimes it's from the grape varieties. And grape varieties here, do we have them? No, it's probably one of those that says a mix of premium red varieties, but it'll have things like Touriga Franca, Touriga Nacional, maybe some Tinta Cao, Tinta Barroca, but the weird thing is, the Portuguese grape it reminds me of here is Castelhal, which it tends to grow further south, though I wouldn't be surprised, so I don't think there'll be any in here, but hey, let's give it a taste. It's warm, it's soft, it's gentle, juicy, and generously flavoured. Yes, it's got this vanilla, berries, plums. If I have a problem with it, it's almost like it's a bit too smooth for its own good. I almost want a little bit of spikiness and spark for those flavours to fight against. In terms of structure, it feels just that little bit too soft. So very friendly wine, but ever so slightly gloopy. And as I said with the white one, I would have preferred a little bit more crispness in there to balance that out. Can't fault the flavours. Flavours are nice. It'll find a huge audience because it's got that what I call the New World softness. No really hard edges, but sometimes I actually want a little bit of rough with my smooth. Let's see how we get on with the next Portuguese one, which is Tegas Creek, Shiraz Trincadeira. Tegas Creek is a range developed by, I think, an English guy called Nick Oakley, and the idea was to blend Portuguese varieties, which not many people have heard of, with more familiar varieties from other parts of the world. So hence here we've got, can't get that back in, we've got Shiraz, which you know, and Trincadeira, which is a grape that grows pretty well in central Portugal. So let's give it a whirl. Now this feels like it's going to have, it's weird, once it's got sweeter flavours, it feels like there's very ripe fruit here, blackcurranty, yeah, that berry edge as well, but it also feels like it's going to be fresher, which, does that make sense? Well, let's taste it and find out. Yeah, it's got a nicer backbone than the one before. It's got a bit of grit to it. It's a bit of chewy, some licorice there. You feel like the grapes are really ripe, but that Trincadeira is adding almost like an ashy backbone. I was doing a white wine tasting earlier today, and I used the word ashy in conjunction with Silvana, and I get something of that same sort of character here. I get it in quite a lot of Portuguese wines, particularly around Dal, but this is a bit further south than Dal. But yeah, I like that. I like that freshness to it, ripe but fresh. Whereas the first one was yeah, just like that little bit of edge. Okay, let's head over the border, he said, dribbling, into Spain. Campo de Borja. This is the Marquesa de la Cruz GSM. Now, in Australia, where the GSM blend originated, it stood for Grenache, Shiraz, Mourvedre. Here we have Garnacha, same thing, Syrah, same thing, Mazuelo. Now, Mazuelo is not the same as Mourvedre. Mazuelo is in fact Carignan, which in other parts of Spain is known as Cariñena. Just to confuse you, there's also a place called Cariñena where they grow Tempranillo. You got that? I'm not sure whether I have. Anyway, Campo de Borja tends to be known for really juicy, honest, lovely, ripe old vine Grenache. and they put another couple of grapes in here. Let's see how they get on together. And I stick my nose in, and it's got this lovely, fragrant, haunting smell. Yes, it's got that ripe, juicy, warm berry, some strawberries, some blackberries, also plums. But it's got this headiness as well. It's got this perfume, violets. Yeah, it feels like there's a sense of soil coming through here rather than just jammy fruit. And it's a pretty decent take on, well, Spanish take on Côte de Rhône. It's got that warmth and juicy generosity, but then it's got the earthiness and spice to stop it going all wibbly wobbly. Refreshing, quite upfront in its juiciness, but then when it never gets too big. There's always something there to clean your mouth out and keep you entertained. I like that a lot. Let's see how we get on with a rather more famous wine. So Sangre de Toro, Garnacha and Cariñena. So the similar blend to the one before, but without the Syrah, and of course it's got the famous Torres Toro on here. Reminds me of a very bad joke. Two cows in a field. One of them said to the other, "I was artificially inseminated this morning." The other one says, "Yeah?" Says, "Yeah, straight up, no bull." Okay, Sangre de Toro, 2009. Similar price to the one before, but this one comes with a bull around the neck. Now this has got more of a warm dustiness to it. If the first one was more Côte de Rhône, this is much more Rioja style. There's this earthy vanilla, yeah, it is on that ever so slightly jammy, and more on the strawberry and the red berries than the slightly blacker, darker fruit flavours that you're getting in the one from Campo de Borja. It's just a lovely, delicious, juicy, reliable glug. I can't remember the last time I had a bad bottle of Sangre de Toro. It's a different style from the one before. Yes, as I say, there's a slightly more softer, more relaxed feel to it. But then you think it's before it turns too louche. There is this, this is grip and bite, and I think it's that touch of Carignan, as it was in the one before, that was adding the freshness on the finish. Both really good wines, and really good barbecue wines. Classic outdoor, hearty food fodder, stews. Perfect for summer, but also perfect for burning yourself on sausages with. Okay, two more to go. I've got an old French one and a young Australian. I'll do the old French one first. Villa Serra from Minervois, 2005. Grenache, Mourvèdre, Cinsault, Carignan. So yeah, I'll, I suppose, keep that Grenache theme going. We'll do that. Although you could argue I should be doing the more mature one to finish with. Hey, horses for courses and all that. A draught of the warm south. It smells like it's going to be. If I have a problem with it, it's got that what I call the slight dried fruit character, and a touch of the bandage of Brettanomyces, which is a yeast spoilage thing that can happen in wineries sometimes, and there's a touch of that which will be reducing the freshness and reducing the impact of the fruit. A little bit of it is good, or a little bit of it can add character. Too much of it, and yes, it tends to overwhelm the wine. Maybe you could put it this way: if you, Cindy Crawford has one mole there, one mole good, but if you've got mole all over the place. Maybe you look a little like a golf ball, but is this a golf ball or a Cindy Crawford? Let's have a taste. And the fruit is actually standing up quite nicely. Well, I find about wines with that just the right amount of Brett. It starts off and you notice it to start with, and then the rest of the wine creeps up and the Brett level stays the same. Here, yes, I notice that little bit of dryness, ever so slight mouth puckering, tannin on the finish, but it's not taking away from that juicy, plummy, almost tomato, savoury type of character that I'm getting here. So I like its richness, but very definitely a food wine, because I think that dryness might just intrude if you had too much, if you had it by itself. In two minds about that. One of those I'm going to keep an eye on. Will it deteriorate? Will it get better? Will it come out of its shell or retreat into it? I have a strong suspicion that it'll stay much the same, but we shall see. Final wine, the Red Rattler, and it's got a picture of it looks like, I can't remember if it's a bus or a combi van on here, but it could be one or the other. But Shiraz from, just says wine of Australia. So no idea whereabouts in Australia. The label tells you very little apart from imported by Virgin Wines. Well, there's not many places in the world this could come from. Once upon a time, there was rather a lot of Australian Shiraz that smelt like this: licorice, big bold berry, and then you look for sort of like a bit something slightly more cerebral behind, and it's not always there, but you can't fault its intensity and honest flavour. Today, I suppose I'm looking for a little bit more life beyond the first impact in an Australian Shiraz, and I'm not sure whether it's going to have it, but I do like that bright red fruit and berry attack. Yeah, sweet, rich, honest licorice, packed with flavour, and I'm going to a barbecue tomorrow, and I'm going to take the remainders of all these on. I've got a suspicion that that is going to be one of the ones that just gets hoovered up very, very quickly. For me, it's not the most subtle of wines. What it has going for it is it doesn't finish sweet and jammy. Yes, there is that touch of licorice that suggests quite high alcohol, 14.5%. So there are higher these days. But yes, it's like one-trick pony, but quite a nice, tasty one-trick pony, and that trick is quite impressive. But not my favourite wine. I think a toss-up between those two middle Spaniards for me. But nice lineup. Hey, see you soon.